How do, and welcome back to the Brew Corner, where today I'm going to be tasting my wild yeast ale. If you remember, I've been keeping this wild yeast. I've already made one batch with it, and this is the second batch, and I've brewed this exactly the same as the first. It uses a kilogram of the pale malt and half a kilogram of medium or amber malt, dry malt extract. And what I've done this time is I made two batches, and I brewed one out here in the cold. It was about 12-13 degrees, just like with the first batch, and it was here for just over a week, and then I moved it indoors for a few days in the warmth. And this beer I just brewed straight away in the house in warm temperatures, around about 21-22 degrees. And I've done that because the first beer brewed like this was really nice, clean tasting, just a really nice beer. And I wondered, if I was to brew it at room temperature, would I get more esters from the yeast? Would I get more flavour from the yeast? And this is what we're going to find out today. So I'm going to start with the beer brewed exactly like the first and fermented exactly like the first. It was out here, it was about 12-13 degrees. So let's open her up. Oh, nice big hiss, that's a good sign, and nice CO2 coming out. Now that looks an amazing beer. Just like the first. Of course, it's exactly the same recipe, except with this I used 30 grams, I think it was, of East Kent Goldings for bittering, and another 30 for aroma. There's no flavour hop in this. Look at that, that's just dry malt. That's just dry malt. I hope you can see it in the light. The nights are really drawing in now. It's coming up to 4:30, and already it's sort of like twilight outside. So I'm having to just use the indoor lights. I hope you can see that well enough. But that is clear, that really is clear. It's been in the bottles now for 2 weeks. Look at that beautiful head though. Creamy, compact. That looks an amazing pint. I'm just going to dive in because I've already reviewed this. It's the same as the first batch. Yeah, really nice, clean tasting. I just used half a teaspoon of sugar in the bottle because I didn't want to overcarb it. I didn't want it like an American ale. I was going for more like a British pub ale, and that's certainly what I've got. And it's all fit in as well. This yeast really compacts down quickly in the bottom of the bottle, so that tastes just like my first batch, except for the East Kent Goldings. That is a really nice beer. I liked it the first time, and I'm liking it now. So I'm going to have fun today because I'm going to have 2 pints. This is the warm beer. Let's see if there's a difference. This was the purpose of the experiment. So, oh, again, nice hiss, nice CO2, and it's going to look exactly the same because it's the same batch of wort. I brewed 10 litres and then split it between 2 5-litre demijohns. So let's have a look. Yeah, not a bigger head this time, but that could be my pouring. But yeah, looks exactly the same, of course it does. The original gravity of this was about 1051, if memory serves me correctly, and it attenuated very well. It went down to 1009. So I'm looking at a 5% beer here, maybe 5.5. I'll have to get the calculator out. But that looks a lovely pint. Okay, does it smell differently? Does it taste differently? No. Now that's interesting. That really is interesting. This is really aromatic. Those East Kent Golden hops. This doesn't have a lot of aroma at all. No, a little bit of malt. And yet it's the same batch. Exactly the same batch of wort. I just brewed 10 litres, split it between the two 5-litre demijohns. But that is a big difference in aroma. This is really aromatic. Malt, the hop. This a little bit of malt and really nothing. Right, well, taste test time. Let's dive in. Cheers. The warm fermented wild yeast. Compare it. Head retention on that is just gone. Mind you, that could be the glass. There could be a lot of reasons for that. They taste remarkably similar, which I wasn't expecting or hoping for. You know, I've heard stories of wild yeast and it produces lovely fruity flavours like Belgium type flavours and banana and all of this. They taste exactly the same. No difference. No difference in taste, but there is in aroma. The cold fermented has much more aroma. This one doesn't really have any. Just a very light malt. See if I can move it around and see if I can get some of those aroma oils coming out. Oh, a little bit more now. A little bit more now. But it's still very light, whereas this is a nicely aromatic beer. So that's interesting, and I can't explain that one. Obviously they look exactly the same, it's the same wort, but flavour wise they taste exactly the same. I think on balance I would give the cold ferment the edge because it seems to have a bit more crispness to it. This is a bit more mellower, softer. So I think I do give the cold ferment, or the cool ferment really, it was about 12, 13 degrees. I think at the low point it went down to about 8 overnight. So it's a cool ferment. I think I give that one the edge, but to be honest, they're pretty identical. Which is interesting because it looks like I've got a yeast now that doesn't matter what the temperature is. Usually yeast prefer one temperature range over another, and if you put it in the wrong temperature range it stresses the yeast, and that's what creates the esters and creates all the funky flavours. With this it doesn't seem to matter. 22 degrees, about 12, 13 degrees. Taste wise they're the same, except this has a little bit more crispness to it. Right, well, I wasn't expecting that. I thought this was going to be like fruitier and no, just very clean tasting beers. I'm not actually tasting the yeast. I can't taste the yeast. So it looks like the yeast in my garden is a cracker when it comes to making beers. Unless of course you want the Belgium-y funky yeasty flavours, then it's not very good. But for a regular beer, cracker, and it's free. This is going back in the fridge. I believe you get about 10 beers from this. You can't just keep using it and reusing it forever. I believe it's good for about 10 batches, and then you've got to replace it. Well, that's easy enough. I just put a jar out in my garden and just collect some more yeast. So I've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed the experiment. I enjoyed the first batch I made, and I've enjoyed this. They're pretty much all the same, regardless of temperature. Except this has more aroma, and I can't explain that one. I don't know how heat would affect aroma, but there we go. That's the observation. This tastes exactly the same, although a little bit softer, not as crisp, but it's got very little aroma. This is a nice crisp beer, and it's got a lot of aroma. A really nice aromatic beer. So there you go. I'll be brewing with this again, definitely. Could be like my house staple. Well, my garden staple, because that's where I got it from. Right, so that's the Wild Yeast version 2 ale taste test. And yeah, it doesn't matter what temperature I brew this at. Well, of course, the next stage is to brew it like a Kveik. Now that'd be interesting. Actually, that is interesting. What if I was to brew this at, say, 33 degrees? I'm going to do it. I am. So there's going to be a Wild Yeast version 3 coming out. And I might do that at the weekend. So thanks for watching. I've really enjoyed it. Again, I do enjoy making these videos. If you have, please like and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you again in the next video. Now, which one do I choose first? Because I've got both of them to drink. I'll go with the cold.